Hello, I'm Gillian. I'm here in the most beautiful tree in my yard. I wanted to share this with you. The smell of this is intoxicating. And this is a representation of nature in its fullness, which is what I will be extending to you through the knowledge I have acquired in life regarding healing work and cuisine, and how the two of them work so beautifully together. In nature gives us everything we need to sustain ourselves, to heal ourselves, and to thrive. My childhood was spent in the forests of British Columbia with my family. My father was a park ranger, and unbeknownst to me, what was happening for me at that time was I was cultivating a relationship with nature, which I would then later in life utilize and call upon when I began my study of healing work, as well as my joy for cooking. The earth gives us everything we could possibly need in life. Now, cuisine receives its abundance from nature before anything else. And that is what I have decided to utilize in my life to share with people to help people heal and feel better. By studying healing work, I have learned how to consciously project and utilize life force healing energy into food, so that when people ingest the food, they're receiving the healing that they may need in any given moment. I was called upon to assist people through my healing work because people have heard about my meals and how they felt after eating my meals. And so my first few clients in my private chef career were with people who needed assistance with healing. So we approached it through food as well as the laying of hands, which is something that I'm trained in as well. Cuisine and the food that we eat is the foundation for well-being in our life. And I'm going to share with you how you can utilize the world, the earth's bounty, very simply, just by consciously preparing food for yourself or for those you love. And love is the magic word. Love is tangible, and love is healing. And something that I've come to understand through preparing food for people is the more you care about the food you're preparing, the more effective the food is inside the body. People enjoy the taste more, it feels good in the digestion, and it addresses issues within the body that are out of balance, resulting in restoration of well-being, should the well-being be off balance. So to wrap it all up, I came into the most beautiful, my favorite tree on my property now, because I wanted to share this with you because it is an example of vibrancy. And vibrancy is what you're going to experience when you eat food that's been prepared in a conscious, loving way. So let's do this. I love you, and we're going to have fun.
Okay, perfect. There you are. Okay, great. I'm just going to dive in and get started here. And welcome to our B4BC Zoom production. I don't know you in Zoom land, so I only know you in person, which is a gift. So thank you. And welcome, Gillian Adamo, coming to us from Maui today. And I would describe you as a healer, a food as medicine light worker. And I say that because I know you in your ways of Reiki, and I also know you as just your presence in general. Every meal that I've sat at your table, I've been so lucky to participate in the beautiful meals that you create, and I just feel like being around you is healing. And I would love to know more and have you describe to our audience here on what kind of work you do.
Okay. Well, my work began in the kitchen far before I learned that I had the ability to heal. So when I lived in Vancouver, British Columbia, I used to have dinner parties and prepare meals for at least 12 people each time. And people came and had a great experience. And I noticed that people were feeling better when they left the table than when they came. So when I moved to Maui, I quickly realized there was nothing going on Maui. And so to make a little action happen, I started having dinner parties. And again, I noticed the same sort of thing happening, people sitting at the table feeling really good after they got up and left, after having that peaceful time of just being at the table, conversation, having food that was prepared with intention and love. So during that particular time when I was beginning to have dinner parties on Maui, I started studying the healing arts. I had always wanted to help people by touching them. It was a sort of dream of mine when I was a little girl to just be able to touch people and to help them. So 20 years later, I'm on Maui and I meet a woman who has the ability to see into people beyond the body, to see the energetic level. And she explained to me that I had a very strong capacity to extend healing energy to people. And that seemed so perfect because I'd always wanted to do that. So I began to study about healing and energy and the transferal of energy and how everything is energy here on the planet and how we can work with it and use it to heal ourselves and help others. I didn't know that I was consciously putting love into my food when I prepared food for people. And I worked for a man many, many years ago. And the people that came and sat at his table told me that they felt like they were eating love when they ate my food. And I thought, what does that mean? Many years after that, I went for Ram Dass. And Ram Dass broke it down for me. He explained how I had this ability to extend love. And it was because I cared, because I had presence in what I was doing, and I cared about what I was feeding people and how I was working with the food and the kind of food that I was choosing to work with. So then I learned.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Can you just really quickly maybe tell the audience who Ram Dass is and what your work with him was?
Yes. Ram Dass had a career, many different careers really in his lifetime. He began as a social scientist and a psychologist at Harvard. He taught at Harvard. His studies took him into the study of psychedelics and seeing where the altered state of psychedelics took us. He felt like the average person and the average day did not give him that peace that he was looking for. So he sought it out. First it became in psychedelics and psilocybin. And then he realized, well, yes, when you take drugs, you go up, but then you come down. And he wanted to learn how to not come down because he knew that place existed, that open place of when you go up. So his journey took him to India, where he met a saint by the name of Neem Karoli Baba. And Neem Karoli Baba taught him the foundation of love, and that love is everything. And so Ram Dass took the teachings that he learned from Neem Karoli Baba and brought it back to the West. And he became Ram Dass. Neem Karoli Baba gave him the name Ram Dass, which is servant of God. And he extended the teachings to the West. Ram Dass already had a following. People followed him, listened to his words, wanted to be near him because he had this energy after he was in India. And that was the energy of the saint that was in him. And he extended that to people. Now, I began working with Ram Dass as his chef. Ram Dass had a stroke when he was 65, and it put him in a wheelchair. So when I was brought in as the chef that was going to help him through food to heal day by day, because his conditions would change day by day. And I had that ability through my intuition that I'd honed in my healing work to be able to know what Ram Dass needed moment by moment. And that's how I worked with him. And that's how I worked with anybody that sat at his table. Every night we had at least 6 to 12 people at the table. And I was able to sense what each person needed and develop a meal that served everyone, with Ram Dass being the most important because he was the one that needed the healing, but everybody else got exactly what they needed due to my sensitivity, my intuition, and being able to prepare the food for those in front of me. Yes.
So not to interrupt you, but I feel like this is an important place to step in. And is it possible for anybody to figure out what it is they need when it comes to food? Because I can tell you it's a really complicated subject for everybody, but most especially those who have faced cancer or facing cancer or treatment. It feels really hard to step into your intuition, but is it possible, do you think?
It's absolutely possible. And I can understand that it is overwhelming in the beginning. And my suggestion is to start simple. So we all have a condition, a situation at any given moment in life. And say we're ready to eat a meal, but we're feeling a certain way inside. At that time in life, we might have a cold, or we might have some broken bones, or we might have a dis-ease that has entered our body that we need to give attention to. So in those moments, my direction is find out, research what foods in any given moment are best for someone with a flu, or someone who might have cancer, or someone who might be healing from an injury where their bones have been cracked or broken. See what foods come up that say these are the ones to take in this moment, and then use your intuition as to which ones are right for you. There's only going to be a few, but something in you will guide you to the one that's right for you. There'll be a pull, a magnetic pull, and you just have to trust in that pull.
Yeah,
it's there. And this is what we learn when you learn about healing and sensitivity, is you just get still and you trust in yourself, because in us we have the ability to heal. And sometimes that means we're going to need a medicine from the Western society, but if we listen to ourselves, we'll be drawn to the one that's right for us. We'll be drawn to the plant in nature that's right for us if we have the opportunity to see it in front of us, whether that is through the internet or through somebody talking about something and we get a feeling like, yeah, I think I want to check that out. That's how it all works. Our body, our inner electrical system is constantly talking to us and telling us what we need in any given moment. And it's happening in nature as well, with the trees and the plants. They know what they need and they do what they have to get what they need. If that means moving towards the sunlight, then they grow towards the sunlight. For, say, an amphibian, if they need to grow a different body part to survive because things have changed, they grow that different body part. That's how it works. And we can do the same. We can learn to listen to what's inside of us that's guiding us to what we need outside of us.
So you're basically saying not only nature, but food is medicine. Food can be medicine.
Food is absolutely medicine. It is one very, very powerful medicine.
So I'm excited to hear about what you've been preparing, because and just on that note, where especially women who have been diagnosed with cancer, or anybody diagnosed with cancer, all of a sudden it's like keto diet, anti-inflammatory diet, no fish. Oh, wait, a little bit of fish. Or there's a lot of confusion around, and I like what you said, simplicity earlier, but there's a lot of confusion about what kind of a diet is for me. And I mean, can you simplify any of this for people who might want to know?
Absolutely. So yeah, we are definitely inundated with different diets and what's the fad. Number one, stay away from fads, but definitely to what is truth, and that is, what is an anti-inflammatory when it comes to food? Which foods are anti-inflammatory? Because really across the board, we want to get inflammation out of our body for everything. We don't want that inside of our body. So that's a really good place to start. And when I began working with Ram Dass, I didn't really know the properties of a lot of different foods. I knew what was right to cook in any given moment, but I didn't necessarily know the property that food had to offer. So I began to research. Every time I was told, okay, he's feeling this way this week, and we need to take this out and that out, and we need to give him something that will do this and this and this, I just went online and I educated myself. and then I use my sensitivities. But number one is inflammation. So we want to have foods that take inflammation out of the body. I prepared a dal today, which I have to turn this one off. I prepared a dal today for all of us because the dal is so soothing and nurturing and 100% anti-inflammatory. The recipe I chose today has no garlic and no onion, so there will be no agitation put into the body, no opportunity for agitation, only calming and cooling, nurturing and soothing. We're going to use the number one anti-inflammatory really is turmeric. And I suggest that you get fresh turmeric whenever possible. I was actually out early this morning in my garden and I picked this turmeric. It's the first time I've ever harvested turmeric. I've had it growing for years, but I've never harvested it. I've just used the flowers and bought it at the market. So I harvested it for us. So we have that. We have fresh ginger. Look at this beautiful. This is
Yum.
It's really nice. So we're going to put ginger in there. We have Himalayan rock salt, which I ground. So this is the raw version, but I ground it right before I put it in. I grated some turmeric. We're going to put that on top. And then I toasted coriander seeds and then ground them because that is one of the ingredients in the dal. And if you want to get the flavor out of any spice, if you lightly heat it and then grind it, it releases the aroma and the flavors. It's like opening the door and it unlocks it and you get this flavor blast. So that is basically the main ingredients of the dal. And we have red lentils, of course, and the red lentils are in the pot. We're going to top it all off with beautiful parsley when it's all done. So the dal is yes.
Oh, I was just going to say, when you say anti-inflammatory, that's generally denoting easily assimilated, like something that's very easily digested, right?
That is a byproduct of an anti-inflammatory. So anti-inflammatory is a compound within different foods that will go into the body and will dissipate inflammation in the joints because of the properties of the specific food that we're putting in, that it's categorized as an anti-inflammatory. Because it is an anti-inflammatory, when it enters the body, it works with the cells in a way where it releases inflammation in the joints. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, totally. I just wish I was there to taste some of that. That fresh ginger looks beautiful.
Yes, it's so alive. And this is what I suggest to anyone. When you're cooking, try to get the freshest of foods possible. Go to the markets, buy local whenever possible, and buy organic whenever possible. If you can't buy organic, you're just going to bless your food before you eat it, and you're going to pump it up with energy. But if you can buy organic, you are getting the full vibrancy of the life of that plant that's been growing in your vicinity. So there's a synergy going on. Whether you realize it or not, the earth that you walk on and the vicinity around you, you're connected to it. So if you can ingest something that's in your area, you are in balance with nature. And that's how you heal, is by staying in balance with nature, your own nature and the nature around you.
Homeostasis.
Yeah, I have dal cooking, and we're going to do a quick little tempering because I wanted you to see what the tempering is about. The tempering is what locks in specific flavor in Ayurvedic cooking. And this dal I'm preparing is from an Ayurvedic recipe, and Ayurveda comes out of India. And when I worked with Ram Dass, I cooked a lot of food from India. That was comfort food for him because he spent so much time in India, and that was really where his heart was opened. And it's very healing. So we have the dal ready to be tempered. And now tempering has to do with heating up ghee and coconut oil and adding cumin seeds. And they're going to do a very flash cookware with a lot of heat, just 1 minute. And then we're going to add the dal, and there's going to be this crazy sizzling. And you seal it with a lid for 2 minutes. And after that, you have the most beautiful, deeply full of tastes and textures because of the heat and the sealing the heat in with these flavors. So that's what we're going to do. I wanted you to just sort of see what tempering was about because it's a very important part of the dal. So I'm going to add just really, this is a tablespoon.
Okay.
Goes in there. Just 1 minute, and Unfortunately, you can't see what's going to happen in here, but it's going to foam in there. And then as soon as it foams, I'm going to add the doll. And very quickly, I'm going to grab the lid, actually.
She's so cute.
Okay. All right. So
Perfect.
we're going to need this. I did this last night. I had doll all over the stove. And I thought, oh, good thing I did a trial run. Okay, this is foaming. It's heating up. We're going to add the hot doll. Did you see that?
Whoa.
Yeah, but there it is. It's in there. It's going to seal in the heat, 2 minutes, and then we're going to put the parsley on top. So that doll is good to go. And I'm going to make we're going to multitask because we can do that.
Yeah, we can. Perfect.
Yeah.
Smoothie time. Oh my gosh. I wish I was there to eat this. I'm just drooling over here.
Yes. Okay, well, with the smoothie, I had this beautiful friend. His name was Aloe Vera Aquila. That was his real name. And he came to stay with me. He was the most flamboyant, beautiful man. And he's still with us. He's in Toronto. And he taught me how to make these smoothies. And he believes in aloe. You know, aloe is his plant. He believes in the healing properties of aloe. And he taught me about aloe and how potent it is. I have aloe gardens out in my yard. I took it on. And I have the most beautiful aloe garden. So I went out this morning and picked some aloe. Now, I understand that not everybody can go and pick aloe, but you can order fresh aloe arms online. And so if this smoothie interests you, I recommend that you order these online, and you can do that. Now, when you pick fresh aloe, if you can see that yellow, this is what comes out.
Yeah.
When you first pick an aloe, that has to bleed out. It bleeds out. It takes about 20 minutes. That is actually an incredibly potent antibiotic that you can put on wounds, open wounds. It is so healing. You don't want to eat this, but you can put this on an open wound. But eating it, it's bitter and it's awful, and you don't want to eat it. So you let the arm of the aloe bleed for 20 minutes, and then you cut that bottom piece off, and you can begin to take the amount of aloe that you want. So I'm letting that one sit, and I'm going to show you a different arm that's already bled.
So why aloe? I know I actually drank a lot of aloe juice and added it to smoothies when I was in chemo because I was so constipated. It was really, really bad. And I feel like the aloe was really soothing and helping for that.
That's absolutely one of aloe's properties is it's a detoxifier. So it moves things through the body, but it is also so full of vitamin C. It is one of the strongest immune boosters that you can put in your body. I mean, it has folic acid, it has choline, it has vitamin A, B12, C, and E in it. It is so full of nutrients. And I recommend that you begin with small pieces because it's a strong flavor. So I just cut one piece in half. I cut a little piece, it's this big, and then I cut it in half. And I'm just going to, just like you would take a piece of orange out of its rind, I just cut it right out like that. So you have the flesh, drop it in the blender. So just like that.
Oh, so easy.
Yeah, it's very, very easy. Such a powerful plant. Let me put that off to the side. Okay. And now I have the oranges. These oranges were picked from my neighborhood. So we're going to put an orange in. I took all the white pith off because that's very hard to digest. And we want to prepare foods that easily move through us so we are not taking energy from ourselves to digest the food. The food is giving us energy. Blueberries, number 2 as far as food to take if you have a dis-ease in your body. Blueberries are anti-inflammatory. They are so full of vitamins, and there's very little sugar in a blueberry. So it's a great additive to a smoothie. It can be the number 1 fruit. You can put more blueberries than anything else in your smoothie, and you won't get the big sugar blast. 1 banana. I like to freeze my bananas. So that's a frozen banana in there. And that's an apple banana. So it's a smaller banana than you get, say, on the mainland. I'm on an island. So you could put half of a large banana or that one. And now here's some walnuts. Walnuts are the number
Yum.
one for healing cancer. I soaked these nuts for about 4 hours before. When you soak a legume, a nut, a rice, you give it the opportunity to be much more digestible. The body can break it down because it's already begun the process, and the body absorbs nutrients from the nut, legume, the rice in a much easier fashion when it is broken down with water, with moisture. So we're going to put that amount of the nuts in there. We're going to put half of an avocado.
Yay, avocados.
This, you see, smoothies can really bring you up and then drop you down if you're not careful, if you add too much sugar. So I like to add things that stabilize us in a smoothie, and avocado is one of them. This is a meal. You know, half an avocado can be too much for someone. You might only want to put in a quarter. I like a smoothie to take me a distance. Now, here's when working with the moment happens. So in my recipe that I submitted for this, I said curly kale is the #1 kale to have for cancer, healing cancer. I couldn't get a beautiful curly kale right now. So I didn't want to get one that was kind of rotten looking. I went and I got what was available from the garden, and that was a Dino kale. So we're going to use this kale, and this is what I was actually taught by Aloe. He used this kind of kale, but if we are targeting the healing of cancer, then we want to use the curly kale. But because I couldn't get the good one, I feel just free to use this, and this is what I want to teach people. You don't have to get stuck on certain ingredients. You can feel okay about, well, this kale looked better, so I'm going to use this kale because this is the right one for me today. And I want you to feel confident and be able to do that and not worry and get caught up on, oh gosh, is that going to be okay? So now we're, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, kind of that being said, there's, you know, I kind of went from like, I was eating healthy and eating organic. And then when cancer came, I was like, okay, whole foods, plant-based diet, super strict, no sugar, occasional blueberries. Like I was really, really strict. And I found that strictness actually restricted me. It made it harder to digest. If I felt guilty about something, you know, it's a really weird head trip. And maybe I'm just one of those people that gets too in her head, but food was that for me. And then once I started to relax, I'm like, okay, the 80-20 is going to work instead of the 99-1. You know, I'm going to have a little bit of this or a little bit of that. And again, it's like you said, it's very finding out what works good for you.
Yes, absolutely. And that is about ease. Just allowing yourself to take a breath and trust that it's okay. It's okay. If I want to have that right now, whatever it is that you were trying to deny yourself with, then it's okay right now, because tomorrow's going to be a different day. And I know that particular food isn't the ultimate food for me for every day as I'm healing right now. But right now, if I want to give myself that, I'm going to allow myself that and feel good about it, because that's what's important, is feeling good about what we're doing. If we're hard on ourselves, even the best intentions are going to fall on a stiff, tight body that's not going to be able to receive what we're trying to give ourselves. We have to have ease and relax, and it comes down to the heart. Breath and ease in the heart. So I'm going to open a coconut right now. We're going to get into the coconut, and I have to find the opener. I'm sorry. It's really close by, but I have to step out.
No problem. No problem. My son would just beat it on a rock and then drink it.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. That's definitely one way to do it. So I have this easy in the top. When you have a young coconut, you can go in the top. Now I understand that people can't just go out in their yard, most people, and get a coconut, but I can. So I'm going to use fresh coconut water, but you can get it in the store. Mm-hmm. When we take it from the tree, the best coconuts to have are the youngest, because the water isn't sugary. It's really so clear. You can almost put it in your, you can put it in your eyes. You can heal your eyes with coconut water. So I'm just going to take the top off. And I have to be careful because when they're young, it can really become a fountain. Oh, there we go, a little bit, but not too much. Okay, so I'm going to pour some just fresh coconut water in here. And in and in my directions, I expressed, you can put as much liquid in as you want. You might want a really thick smoothie, so then you put less water, or you want a runny smoothie and more liquidy, then you put more water. So there's the coconut in there. I'm gonna add a little almond milk because I like it a little bit creamy.
That avocado is going to make it creamy too, right? That's the good thing about the avocado.
Avocado makes it creamy. Now, we got this beautiful, or I got this beautiful package from Thrive. Look at what Thrive sent me for all our this most beautiful offering. So I'm going to use some of this. I'm going to use today cacao, dark chocolate powder.
Yum.
Dark chocolate is anti-inflammatory. How great is that?
Yeah. That's great. I just used that this morning in a smoothie. Just dates, cacao, almond milk.
Yeah, it's so good. So we're going to have a little bit of that. And I gave you a choice of adding cacao or matcha. I'm going for the cacao today. You can put matcha in, you can put both, but that's a real kick. So we're just going to put maybe that much matcha or that much cocoa, right? And a little bit, a handful of goji, because this is a power-packed little fruit. And I actually don't even want to add too much because this is really filling. I find goji berries they can be overwhelming if you add too many. So there we go. That's a good start to our smoothie. And I have discovered this superfruit seed powder, and I didn't put it in my ingredients, but I recommend it to anyone. All the ingredients are organic, and it's power-packed with vitamin C that's bioavailable for the body. And so I'm actually going to add a little bit of that. It's right here.
Can you just explain bioavailability when you say that?
Yes.
A little bit.
Bioavailability. Now, vitamin C is one of these compounds that when it goes into the body, depending on the form you're receiving the vitamin C from, it can't necessarily be broken down and assimilated in the body unless it has some other components with it. So that would be, you could add a nut. If you had a nut, then you would get a nice, stable, balanced energy, and the vitamin C would be absorbed because of the synergy with the nut. But if you don't have the nut, you want to take vitamin C in a form that is bioavailable for your body. So you must research the certain vitamin C's. Some are much better than others. This particular brand has about 8 or 10 different powders in it. All of them have high content vitamin C, and they're all in a form of bioavailable for the body. So somebody's already researched it, put it together, and put it all in one. And so that little amount that I added has I can't even tell you because I can't quite see it. It has 625 milligrams of vitamin C in 2 teaspoons. That's a nice punch of vitamin C. And so that I'm just adding that into the smoothie so that I feel like I'm getting everything I can get. And
that's really a simple way right now for people to boost their immune is vitamin C, but taking it in that bioavailable food form versus like just the pills, right?
Yes.
Because everybody wants to boost their immune system right now. So that's a really simple way to do it.
Yeah, this is a really simple way to do it. This isn't like taking medicine, even though you are taking medicine. This is an enjoyable way to take it. So I'm going to blend this up now. We're going to have a little bit of noise.
Oh my gosh, I wish I was there.
I wish you were here too. Okay, here we go. it doesn't take much. So here it is. It's beautiful. Look at the color of that. And
wow. That looks
beautiful.
so good.
The little topper, the little special topper that I like to do is freshly grated turmeric. Just a little bit on top because, come on, we want to give to ourselves the best we possibly can. And the turmeric is so helpful. So there it is. And it's beautiful. Can you see the orange in there? With the
Yummy.
yeah, so there's your little smoothie.
That's so great. That it feels like smoothie. We always need a refresh on smoothie. It's really easy to get stuck in our same old blueberry, spinach, banana, or whatever, you know. It's nice to have a little refresh. So that looks delicious.
Yeah, that will give you energy for hours. And I can now show.
Great.
I have the doll finished. Here is our beautiful doll. Once it's been tempered, and I've put parsley and a little bit of turmeric on top. So this is what you can anticipate when you finish making your doll.
That looks yummy. Beautiful. And simple.
Yeah, and so simple. And Thrive sent me some quinoa, and it was a sprouted quinoa. And because I love to do things that just don't make any sense, I sprouted it again. I soaked it again to see what that was going to taste like. So it had already been soaked. A sprouted quinoa has already been soaked. I soaked it again just to see what would happen. And the most beautiful, fluffy, earthy quinoa I've ever had came from this preparation. So I've never had quinoa taste like this quinoa from Thrive. And truly, it's the best I've ever had. And I highly recommend it.
Yum. Delish.
So that is, I mean, that could be your day right there with the smoothie in the morning and the dal and the quinoa in the evening. This would be a wonderful food ingestion for the day where you would feel energized, you wouldn't feel sluggish, you'd be getting all the nutrients you need, and you'd be full.
So just to kind of wrap up our conversation a little bit, it's really about kind of testing the waters, if you will, and really trusting your instincts of like what feels good for you to eat and how it makes you feel once you eat it, right? That's kind of the other test. I feel like yes. With all of like we talked about the diets and the fads, there's the blood type diet and don't eat this and don't try that. But you know, if it's on your diet list to drink coffee and coffee makes you feel terrible or emotional, then avoid it, right? So it's just a trial and error almost to figure out what's going to give you energy and make you happy.
Exactly. And that is where the sensitivity comes in again, the stillness. So when you are honing healing in your body, you have to get quiet to be able to hear what your body's telling you. So if you have decided to take on a certain sort of a diet, and in that diet, it's suggested that you eat this and this and this, and you eat it and you know you don't feel right, your body will tell you what ingredient it is that doesn't make you feel right, because you'll think about each ingredient and one will be highlighted. It would almost have a pulse, and you'll know, oh, it's that one. And believe me, this might sound like, oh, I could never do that. You can do that. We all can do that. You just have to get still and trust and know that you're being guided to health and well-being, and your own body is taking you there. So just listen. It will tell you where to go and what to take.
And I think that's the challenging thing. I mean, yes, we're all busy. We all have things going on. And even me, I live in the jungle, but I'm still juggling my work, my children, making sure, you know, everybody's getting fed. But again, I feel like it's all about the meal plan. We do stuff on Sundays. Sundays is the day that we plan for the week. We shop for the week. And it's actually not that hard to get creative without packaged food, but you have to just be prepared and have those things in your kitchen or at least have a plan for it.
Yeah, I would say become familiar with things that make you feel good as far as food, and put those in your cupboards. Have them there. so that when you do need to make a spontaneous meal and you don't want to go to the store, you have the ingredients at hand and it doesn't become a big effort. Make it easier on yourself, however it is that you can do that. And only you know how to make it easier on yourself. We all have time crunches. You know, the world, everything is moving so fast, even in these times right now where apparently things are slowed down. Moving, because that's the new rhythm that we're on. So how can we work within that rhythm to take care of ourselves? And only you know how you can do that in your own life. And again, I'm so sorry to be redundant, but it comes back to being still and asking yourself questions. What can I do for myself now? How can I make this situation better for myself? Why should I trust myself? Who else do you have to trust? Only yourself.
Yeah.
Trust yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for being redundant, because it's important that we continually hear that. It's, you know, it's not something that we're often taught, you know, to trust yourself sometimes. So especially around food, it's a tough subject. So I really love that perspective.
Yeah, thank you. I would say to educate yourself on the food that is right for you and your certain condition at any given moment. And then from that point, once you've educated yourself as to what the options are for you with your condition, then you use your own sensitivities. No, I don't like mushrooms. Do I have to eat the mushrooms? I don't want to eat the mushrooms. Oh, I do like turmeric. Well, maybe I could start having matcha instead of coffee. It's that sort of a thing. You just begin to feel it in your body. You can say the words. You can say matcha, matcha, and your body will respond and tell you whether it's good for you or not. You feel something. Your stomach will tighten or it will loosen. Your heart will tighten or it will open. As you become quiet, you'll begin to recognize your body speaking to you.
And that simply is a practice in itself, right? I feel like the quiet, the being still, the making that time, and you know, I guess food's going to be one of those things. Food and sleep, we can't live without them.
No.
So how are we going to make them work for us?
That's right. How are you going to make your life work for you? So we have the certain things that we have to have. We have to have sleep. We have to have sunlight. We have to eat. And we do need each other as well. So what can we do within those parameters to take care of ourselves, and how can we best do that? So we have to get quiet and listen.
Yeah. We can do a dinner party with some friends. You're allowed to be around your little social bubble. So maybe people could find friends and do recipe instead of trading recipes online. They could all take turns making a meal one weekend or something. Yeah, I like that idea.
That's a great idea. You know, it's very interesting because I'd actually, as we were speaking here, forgotten that we were even having a pandemic, because I have gotten so involved in my own little world as far as growing the garden, cooking, preparing food, that I'm having a relationship with the nature and with the food. So I feel very engaged and not separated off. I have to go to a market, so I deal with the people at the market. And yes, we can have a few friends over. We don't need to have 12 people over. You just keep it intimate. And by keeping it intimate, there's less distraction as well. So it really is a gift. You know, distraction is what gets in the way. It's why we can't hear our guidance, because we're distracted by everything. But as our bubble got a little bit smaller, it really just brought us more into ourselves, or it did me. It brought me closer into my environment, my internal environment, and my external environment. And I honed the sensitivity even more. And this is what we all can do. We don't have to look at this time as one that is alienating us and separating us off. It's actually bringing us.
Yep, bringing us home to ourselves. And I'm listening to my own stomach and heart right now, and I'm going to make that smoothie as well as that doll in the next couple of days for sure.
Good. And I want you to all just trust yourselves in the cooking and feel it out and know that you won't go wrong.
Thank you, Gillian. You're so magnificent. Really appreciate your time and your insight. And we could probably do a whole series with you on food and cooking. So we'll think about that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Aloha.
Aloha. That was amazing. And we didn't have a live Q&A planned, but I feel like we do have Gillian in the audience. Gillian, hi.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much. That was amazing. I want to just bring up somebody that's been putting some questions in the chat. Okay. And Janet, did you want to ask your question to Gillian directly?
Where are you, Janet?
I see you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I battled breast cancer twice now over the last 7 years. So I've obviously done as much research as I can. And my question is that I've heard differences between foods that grow below the ground versus foods that grow above the ground. One is more inflammatory than the other. Is that accurate?
Well, it really comes down to your body and what your body can absorb. In general, potatoes are very hard for the body to digest and to assimilate any of the nutrients unless you were born in an area where potatoes are prevalent. So places like Ireland, Idaho, those are the two that come to mind. Places where potatoes come from the land there. If you come from that land, you're going to be able to digest a potato in a very natural, therapeutic way. Other people are going to have a harder time with it. I would always suggest, before ever going towards a potato, to go to a sweet potato or a yam. Those ones have more warming, but not inflammatory properties in the body. So they're nurturing, but they don't cause inflammation. And my suggestion to you is, once you get a yam or a potato, hold on to it and see what your body tells you, but don't hold on to both of them at the same time. So you hold on to one and then you listen. Just notice how your body feels. Put it down, grab the other one, notice how your body feels. This is what I like to teach, is listening to your own body and the guidance of your own body. And now, as far as vegetables grown above the ground, absolutely. Those ones are much easier to digest. Where were you born?
North Dakota.
North Dakota. So yes, so North Dakota, that has a colder climate. So you're going to do well with a root vegetable. Definitely, you're going to do well. So you can do the potato on the test as well and see what that does for you. But your body is going to tell you. All our bodies are unique. So what is good for one is not necessarily good for the other. And I want to help everybody learn to listen to what their body is directing them towards and what it wants. So I invite you to definitely hold those vegetables, but anything above ground, you just go for it. Go for those salads. Go for anything that is packed with vitamins. Broccoli is really great. It creates gas in the body for some people, but not all. So I say broccoli or broccolini. Yeah, pretty much whatever you're being drawn towards, go and buy it and then hold it and see what your body says.
Okay.
I'm like in the grocery store doing muscle testing. I'm like,
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Will this spice do it? And like, I've taught my kids to do the same. They don't always do it, but I definitely would had to do a little bit of like, what is my body saying? And just do it a bunch of times in order to be like, okay, yeah, this isn't my brain, this is my body. It just takes a little bit of practice.
And you communicate with your body. So you tell your body, my intention is to heal. I am healing this cancer. I am healing this cancer. I would like you to guide me to the foods that will help me to heal this cancer. And then your body will do that because you're in it together. So you go to the grocery store, just like Meg said, you hold a spice, you hold a vegetable. You don't even have to hold it, you can just touch it. And your body will give you a signal as to whether it's for you or not. And you begin to become more sensitive the more you do things like this. You can do it with books, you can do it with people. You can get around people and your body will tell you whether this person you're going to have a good experience or not. I mean, it comes down to that sort of sensitivity. It's fun.
I wanted to bring up something just really quick before we got into introing our next guest together. But it was something that you brought up. If you don't have the opportunity to get organic food, or a lot of people, it's an expensive way, to shop and live, right? So finding a food, let's just say, okay, this isn't organic. I'm having these noodles and whatever veggies I can put together in it. You said to pray over it.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked me this, because we just touched on it slightly, and I said you can bless the food. So that's what you can do. If you can't buy organic, you can bless your food to bring it up to a high vibration. And to bless it, you have to trust in yourself and know that you have this capability. Then you just place the food in front of you, you put your hands over it, and you shoot your thought of raising the vibration and healing the food, bringing it to the highest level of potency of nutrition. You take that thought, you put it into your hands, and then you imagine it going into the food. And it is happening, all right? And the reason why it's happening is because you're believing it's happening. That's how you make things happen. You have to believe. So that's what you do. You just hold your hands over the food, and you trust and believe with those thoughts coming through your hands into the food. It's powerful. We're powerful.
I love that. Thank you for being here, Gillian. You're amazing. And I know that our audience was really touched, and we've been sharing recipes and everything on food and your energy around it. We're just grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.